Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless Blades coming at you today with a look at a couple of fantastic knives from Work Tuff Gear. First off here, this is the Forester, which is currently Gen 3, so the third iteration of the Forester, and the Voyager, which is Gen 2, so the second iteration of the Voyager. Both of these fantastic knives, and today we're going to look at these side by side. Now, if you're a Work Tuff fan, you may be looking at both of these saying, which one do I get? Now, bottom line is, you could probably get both of them, but if you had to choose, which would you choose? And today I'm trying to develop those thoughts on my own. So you're going to see a whole bunch of field use, putting these to practical use for the fire prep application. Now, it's the time of year where sparking up that great backyard campfire, absolutely fantastic, and a couple of knives that are absolutely up to that task. So with that, let's get outside, start that fire. Let's start with the big boy here. This is the Voyager. Has a guard, nice full handle, very tall saber grind. That's like a 4/5, I would say like 5/6 saber grind, which is going to make this crazy slicey. Nice handle, full grip, just a great camp knife. Basic shape, but it's all it needs to be. Now, I got a ton of kind of processed pine that I really need to burn. Not that it's the best test for a knife like this, but you know, I'm looking for ergonomics. I'm looking for the ability to make nice curls, the comfort in the hand, the quality of the blade, the steel, the heat treat, the grind. This is going to tell me a lot. Now, it's not like I'm working off a piece of pine that I, picked up out of the woods and processed it down, but a lot of the same principles certainly apply. And man, does this feel really good. And it's doing a real nice job getting these fine curls. I should probably honestly lighten up just a bit, and you'll see just how thin and tasty these really can be. Handle ergonomics, very good. I mean, just such a basic knife. There is literally no frills to this. Now, granted, Work Tuff added a little bit of flair with that kind of napping look, but this is as basic of a shape as it gets. And that is certainly not a bad thing. I design extremely basic myself in many ways, and I find basic knives tend to probably perform just a little bit better on the average, and especially for the average user. And that's the Voyager. Same scenario here with the Forester, only you can see this is the smaller brother to the Voyager. It's going to have a very similar handle where it's extremely neutral, not a lot to it. And then that blade, I'm going to call that roughly a 3/4 height, maybe 4/5 height saber grind. Not too much in the way of the guard on this particular model. The exact same piece of wood here, so you're getting kind of a 1-to-1 comparison. Getting on that, and right away you can see very similar performance in terms of the ability to get nice fine curls, very controlled. This edge geometry is fantastic. Going a little deeper than I want. I just need to lighten up, find that edge. Every new knife takes a little while to find the edge and to get it fine-tuned and honed in, but yeah, this feels really good. Just right away you can see those very tight, refined curls. Doing a nice job. And I would say the Forester, not quite as comfortable in the hand, only from the perspective that the spine is squared off right up against the kind of end of the handle, which is also kind of the case here for the Voyager. However, the way my hand fits, my thumb is still kind of over the end of the handle scales just by a bit. working to get myself some kindling. So I need a little bit of that kind of medium-sized stuff. So you'll see just kind of hogging down through the wood, breaking off chunks. Basic stabbing and splitting here, no problem. That's going to be easy with the Voyager, and especially considering it has a guard. Something else worth noting, on the end you can see the hidden lanyard hole. That's nice, where you can get that reverse grip right over the top, get your thumb in position, mating up kind of with the guard, my ability to really span that and have both my pinky preserved by the fact that, I got a nice size guard here and the thumb over the top. This works well even with a large handle. A little bit different here with the Forester. You can definitely do it, and the fact that you can get your thumb over the top is what's going to make this reasonable. If not, you literally don't have much in the way of the guard, so you're risking running your hand down the blade doing those stabbing tasks. But with the thumb over the top, it should be okay. Now, I've used enough Work Tuff Gear knives to know that we're pretty much never going to see problems doing any of this. The K329 steel, good and durable, striking the balance between your corrosion resistance and your overall durability. It actually is about perfect for a general field knife, and especially when you get into camp applications where there may be moisture. So all in all, perfect steel for these applications. And that's the case for both the Forester and the Voyager. There's enough length on the Voyager. Can do just some light chopping. I don't necessarily need to do too much here. However, I have some longer pieces. Quick little chop through those. Scraping's never typically an issue with Work Tuff Gear. Doing a nice job with their 90-degree squared off spines. And then here, what I really like is design with scallops. That allows you to hold the knife sideways, alternate grips. That thumb goes right into that scallop, bears perfectly on the side of the blade, and gives you great control doing these scraping tasks. And although not perfect, and some of it is blowing away, you can see that is more than enough, and just a great source of tinder that will catch a spark off the ferro rod, no problem. Same thing here with the Forester. Just gonna have to kind of make it work. This piece isn't ideal, but it will do it. Now this is biting so deep that it's really going to struggle, and it's not that the knife won't do it, it's just it is so sharp. And then up against this particular piece of wood, the wood is soft and it's just biting super deep, so it's dragging and creating chatter. I might need to find a different piece. Okay. Now you can see, same thing here with the Forester, having those scallops, rolling the knife sideways in the grip, alternate grip, thumb over the top, and then great control. And when your wood is behaving, you can get yourself a nice little pile of shavings. That's going to work very well. With the Voyager, carving down some Fatwood. Fatwood's going to behave pretty much about the same, but obviously it has resins and it can be a little hard on a blade, but usually carves pretty well. Just getting myself some nice chunks. This will really help to establish the fire once I get it lit. That's super simple. I mean, crazy easy. And the Forester here. Just about the same. Now at this point, I am definitely developing some thoughts between the Voyager and the Forester. First off, the Voyager, in my opinion, overall better performance. Fits in my hands equally well, but of course it's a larger blade. So if you're looking for compact, the Forester might be a better option. But in my opinion, when it comes down to the overall capabilities, they're going to be similar. However, I do think that the Voyager, the better overall pick for my comfort, the edge geometry, and because that blade is a little taller, you end up with a slightly more refined edge from what it feels like, in my opinion. It's probably changing the edge angle enough that I feel it while I'm carving. I really like this Voyager quite a bit. The Forester, very, very nice, don't get me wrong, but to me, the Voyager is where it's at. I love this knife, it's really nice. Getting back to some scraping here, back to the Forester. And that falls under the category of very effective. The Voyager. Again, in my opinion, not only is that very effective, but the added blade length just makes it easier. My hands were in a better position. It was easy to find that 90-degree spine and just really get to work. So I do personally think this is just a slightly better option, especially if you want a little more length, a little more size around the camp. Let's get myself some simple pieces here. Now I'm only going to have one chance to start the fire. Brand new ferro rod and the Forester. Again, leveraging that alternate grip, rolling the knife sideways, thumb onto the scallop, and taking advantage of the 90-degree spine. Prepping the rod. There we go. Nice sparks. That works well. Get back on that fresh rod with the Voyager. Prep the rod. Not quite as much in the way of spark. It's almost like the napping has rolled over just that sharpness on the spine. So by the time I get all the way down here, this is where that real sharp squared off spine is going to be. So if you have a model that has that napping, your 90-degree spine is not going to be quite as effective. And that's why I think if we go back and look, I was probably doing the scraping down further towards this section of the blade while I was getting some of that fuzz and fluff off of the, from certainly the pine, but also the Fatwood. So just a little observation there. we go. And the nice thing about a slightly longer blade, it actually makes it easier to transfer into the fire. So if I get this little pile going here, it's just so easy and controlled. And I can get everything right down into my little log cabin. Nice. And it's alright guys, there you have it, a look at the Forester and Voyager in some practical use. Now, not only are these great knives for the fire prep and camp application, but when it comes to that camp application, food prep. So I have used this Voyager at length now for some food prep. This is a fantastic knife for the kitchen. Really performs extremely well. Very slicey because of that high Saber grind, but the fact that it has a nice pronounced tip, the ability to get some of those kind of alternate grips and do some of the detailed work that you do need to do with the food prep, it works out extremely well. And being in Bowler K329, this cleans up extremely well. So not only do you have yourself a good quality, sharp, and durable edge, but these knives clean up wonderfully. They have the sort of corrosion resistant properties that you're looking for in a good quality camp knife. So these transition very well to the kitchen applications. Work Tuff Gear always doing an amazing job. Excellent designs by the designers, and just all in all, a beautiful package. Not only the knife, but coupling with a fantastic sheath, you get a quality ride. Always a nice job from Work Tuff Gear with the Kydex, industry standard spacing on the eyelets, plenty of them. And in this particular case, kind of that pancake design, which gives you a lot of different carry options. So all in all, whether you go with the Voyager or the Forester, you really can't go wrong. But if I personally had to pick one, you kind of heard it, I would go with the Voyager. I like a little more length, a little more size, and I find that the general performance for my needs just a little bit better, because I think by the time you get down to that secondary grind, just a little more refined on that edge. But either way, beautiful knives. Now, I do have more to come. I have a couple of cool little projects I'm going to do with these knives, because when it gets into this Jade G10, well, you can do some pretty cool things. You can customize these and really dye these to your liking. And I'm going to do a follow-up video here in the future. So if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look in the description box below where you can find all of the relevant links for your own Work Tuff Gear knives, and follow along with my Outer Limitless family of channels. You're here today on Outer Limitless Blades, all the sharp and pointy things. Outer Limitless, which is my primary outdoor hiking, camping, backpacking channel. Outer Limitless 2, which covers the tactical and firearm side of things. And Outer Limitless Lights, EDC lights, headlamps, indoor, outdoor lighting, you name it. That's the Outer Limitless family of channels. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.